Hello and welcome to today's Science Brief. The headline is, the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering and Medicine just released a report backing the field of extreme event attribution. This is the first time the world's top scientific advisory body has formally endorsed a science that ties specific weather events to global warming, and that could have major legal and political implications. Extreme event attribution is a branch of climate science that asks a very practical question. How much did human-made climate change make the latest heat wave, downpour, drought, or wildfire more intense or likely? Scientists have known for decades that global warming, driven by burning fossil fuels, makes certain kinds of extreme weather more likely. But it is only in the last 20 years that they have developed tools to quantify the influence of warming on particular events in particular places. The report itself does not prescribe how this science should be used in policy or court cases, but it does highlight that attribution findings could play a role in several types of legal actions. Take the example of a $50 billion lawsuit that Multnomah County, Oregon, is pursuing against major oil companies. The county cited an attribution study that concluded the record-shattering summer heat wave that struck the Pacific Northwest in 2021 would have been virtually impossible without human-caused climate change. That is the type of evidence that could help plaintiffs demonstrate that companies contributed to the damage. As more states and municipalities file lawsuits alleging that fossil fuel firms are responsible for extreme weather damage, critics from the oil industry have turned scientists into activists in their eyes. This week, a project called Energy in Depth, attached to the Independent Petroleum Association of America, pushed the notion that the Academies report is simply a well-funded litigation campaign aimed at fighting oil producers. The Academies report finds that researchers' methods for attributing extreme events have advanced considerably over recent years. Scientists are employing more sophisticated statistical techniques and accessing better data than ever before. That means they can now reach greater confidence when deciding how much of a particular hot spell is caused by human activity as opposed to the normal randomness of the atmosphere. However, the report also points out that attribution remains challenging for certain types of weather, like tornadoes and hailstorms, where it is difficult to separate human influence from natural variability. Moreover, many developing nations lack the long-term weather records needed to make confident attributions about events in those areas, which limits the usefulness of the science in some regions. Jim Hurrell, a professor of atmospheric science at Colorado State University who helped prepare the report, summed it up well: attribution science is still relatively new, and Ivor Bendetex thinks we've made a lot of progress. I think there's room for accelerating that progress even further. The growing confidence in attribution science NARs not only reinvigorates the debate around climate responsibility, but also opens opportunities for using rigorous scientific evidence in legal and policy arenas. Whether or not the report will translate directly into new climate policy prescriptions remains to be seen, but its endorsement of this emerging science signals that the scientific community is ready to provide more precise, place-specific assessments of human impact on extreme weather. Thank you for tuning in. That's the news on the National Academies report and the future of climate change attribution. I'll be back next week with more science updates. Until then, stay curious and keep listening.